going to start with following on. It's like Karen, you're my sister, and Sean, you're my brother. I mean, I'm carrying on from what they did and understanding where we're going. It's about growing healthy kids, activating healthy cultures, and change. And it's elementary school. This is where I'm 100% involved in elementary schools in New Zealand, California, and Connecticut. It is really a journey of a lifetime for a kid and for us. And as a parent, we've just got to be involved with these in the long run of life, the journey of life. And as you know, I have all my logos. I got this idea from the Golf Channel when they went down, and there were the sponsors there, and people said, well, you're not a golfer. And I said, no, but that's kid height. My personal journey started just because I had great teachers and a school that just encouraged activity. We were very lucky in our day because, we had an hour for lunch. We had 15 minutes for morning recess and 10 minutes for afternoon recess. The school was open for an hour before and an hour and a half after. So we had ample time to play rugby and cricket and run. And run we did. And it was when I was 10 years old, we had a very special guest come to our school. And it was Sir Edmund Hillary, our very famous legend, our hero of New Zealand. And here he was, came to our school to talk to us kids. Now, kind of what we got, and I remember because I had to read it in the paper, but what he told us was that Mount Everest wasn't high enough for your goals, your dreams, and your aspirations. We thought that was pretty cool because, Sir Edmund was 6'4", and he was on our $5 banknote. Yeah, very cool. That inspiration took me through my running days and my club days, and finally to the Olympic trials where my brother helped me to qualify for the Olympics. And I went away to the Olympics in 1972 in Munich, ranked 42nd in the world. And I don't know what it was. It was just the inspiration, the empowerment, the will to achieve, the will to put everything I had learned from those running days and elementary school through to high school, everything I'd put together. And I came away with the bronze medal. And that was pretty cool. I mean, I went on to talk to the media, and the media said to me, who is your hero? Who inspired you? And I said, well, my brother was my hero because he was 4 years older, and whatever he did, he had me believe that I could do it too. But I said the inspiration came from Sir Edmund Hillary when he came to my school. I really believe that was the defining moment. He inspired me to believe that we could do things greater than the height of Mount Everest. And they said, have you ever told him this? And I said, you don't call up the Sir Edmund Hillary. He said, actually, if you look in the phone book, Hillary, Edmund Percival, 287A, Remuera Road, and the telephone number in the local phone book. So I said, I'm not going to call him. I'll go around and knock on his door. Ran around, knocked on the door. Lady Hillary came to the door. I told her briefly. She brought Sir Edmund Hillary out, and here was the man from 10 years ago. And I told him what he had done, and he listened. And I reached into my pocket, and I pulled out that medal and gave it to him just to support my story, just in case you didn't believe me. And he looked at it, man of few words, Sir Edmund, looked at it and he said, this is very fine, young Rodney. I want you to promise me to inspire the next generation. And with that, the door closed. So I started walking back up the driveway, and I said, whoa, when am I going to know? When does it all start? When do I start? And as I walked further up the driveway, I realized it will come to me. The moment will come to me at the right time. And in 1990, when a school where I was living was going to be closed, and the kids had to be bused 45 minutes to the next school. And I said, well, the kids are going to hate school. They're going to be sitting in the bus for 45 minutes each way. And that's a long time in New Zealand, I can tell you. And, of course, the neighbours or the community said to me, well, you know the Minister of Education, you can get funding for this. And I said, well, actually, he's not going to give me any funding. But what we've got to do is we're going to get the kids involved in this. The kids can save the school. And so I went around all the schools within a 40-mile radius and got the kids into training. I said, I want you to come. I'm going to have the Rod Dixon Family 2K and 5K Challenge. And I'm going to put you into training. And you're going to run miles and miles and miles, because when you come to run the final mile, you're going to be able to beat your parents or your family members. And the kids got involved in this, and all the schools were following the kids. But you know, the teachers and the principal were the activators of it, really. They got the kids inspired. But the kids, I can tell you, when they got to 4 or 5 weeks of their 10-week training, they were already locked in. There was no way their family member, mum and dad, were going to sleep in on that Saturday morning. Those kids were banging on them at 5 a.m. in the morning to get up, let's go to the final mile. And so that's where it all started. And with that inspiration and everything I did, you know, from 72 to 1983, I won world championships, set world records, won country championships, everything. But I still hadn't really reached my Everest, which was to try and win the race of all races. And here it came at the New York City Marathon. It really was the race of my life, the race that defined who I was. And it was amazing because after a period of time at Tavern on the Green and the media and everything else, and there was champagne and a lot of celebration, I sort of got up to here and I was overwhelmed by it all. And I went back over to Tavern on the Green, the finish line, and I watched in amazement. 2.5 hours after I had finished, people were coming across the finish line doing exactly what I did. Arms up, kissing the ground, hugging one another. I think somebody even proposed to someone right on the finish line. And I thought, wow, this is very cool. But what I did realize is that I wasn't the only winner on that day. Everybody who had trained, gone to the start line, and finished at Tavern on the Green was a winner. And I just said, winning is finishing. Finishing is winning. And that really got me thinking about how we can inspire the next generation of kids. Whoops. And what I did is I started going to schools, to as many schools as and this medal, I can tell you, that's never been in a trophy cabinet, never been in a box. I left that at the school for 3 months once, and they called me up. They said, do you want your medal back? I go, did I leave it there? I would say that's had at least 250,000 kids have touched that. And I tell the kids to touch it because there's energy in that. And when they do, they put energy in and get energy out. So it's a very powerful thing. Kids love it. Kids know that I was born last century, but kids just like you communicating with them. And that's what this program is about, is effectively passing the baton on to the next generation. And it's about this thing, the hare and the tortoise. And the kids know, and the kids connect with that. And so the program evolved more and more as a hare and the tortoise, non-competitive. Every kid gets the same medal. In fact, I've got one of those too. And what it is a replica of my Olympic medal. Every kid gets one of these. Every kid wears number 1. Every kid gets the same booklet. And we don't line the fastest kids at the front. We mix them all up and let them go, just in corrals, move them on. It's not a time. It's not timed. Finishing is winning. Winning is finishing. It's in school. It's got to be in school, because the effective coaches are the teachers. And Karen said, you find an enthused librarian or a teacher that maybe has done a triathlon or likes to run. They join it up because they see the encouragement and the thrill that the kids get. It goes from 8 weeks. 8 to 10 weeks is the kids' marathon, where every kid accumulates 25 miles. Of course, there's always a percentage of kids that get to 25 before the others. We stop counting their miles. They go back and buddy up with a kid who hasn't done the 25 miles and helps them through. And they get a little wristband to prove that they're a mentor too. The final mile celebration is often done at a high school or a track. In Los Angeles, we do it at Dodger Stadium. Not all the kids can go there, but every school gets to send so many kids. Because when those kids go to the stadium, they come back with that medal and their T-shirt. It's a show and tell on Monday morning. I go to the high schools for the cross-country and track because they're already engaged in a competitive environment where they are doing cross-country and track, and they know how to warm up, they know how to cool down. And I get those kids to go down to their elementary school and be mentors to the little kids. And I can tell you, I can take in Magic Johnson, and he's not as popular as the mentors when they go to their school. And wonderfully, we have this lap tracker, which a wee bit ties in with what Sean's done. And that's, as I say, Sean's going to be my brother, because what he's created with this virtual run, he has the virtual race, but I think this could be perfect for the kids. We've already got kids, and in fact, in Litchfield last year, Centre School ran from Litchfield, Connecticut to the Santa Monica Pier within 2 days of their final mile. So the whole school totaled the miles. Each kid gets a card, there's a scanner, the kids do their laps, they go through, they scan it. So we know what each kid's doing by each individual, by class, by school. And the school, and in fact, some of the kids in California are running around New Zealand, and what they do is they know how many miles they do in a week, and they Google a school on the course, and they Skype with them. So it's all this interaction stuff, and I think there's some exciting stuff coming on. Whoops. The schools are engaged. The principals are engaged. And that was in a school hallway. When the kids come out, and that's just near the music room, which is very cool. Because you know that some of these low decile schools, first things to be cut are music, art, and PE. So when I go to a school and I see art, and I see there's a music room, I said, this program's going to fit into the school beautifully. And it's about the kids following and coming out and seeing what they're doing on a weekly basis. It's fantastic. And kids achieving the goal is something special. These kids, I always go to the back of the field and run with these kids. These kids, when you just inspire them, as Karen, as you said, when you're running with them, okay, hey, we don't have to run the whole way, let's walk. And then I say, could you run down to that post there? And the kids get into a jog. Okay, let's walk, run, walk, run, walk. This kid there's no way he was going to even do the 4 laps. They were fabulous. And it's giving these kids a goal. It's giving these kids a sense of it. And you see, and once all the kids have been doing it, the family gets involved. And I can tell you, that's Dodger Stadium. We only have 5,000 kids there because that's all my budgets allow me to do. But we get 17,000 family members all coming on. And I can tell you, 30% of those kids probably have never seen any family member exercise in their life. So these kids are inspiring their family. And of course, I'm tied in with the LA Marathon, and the LA Marathon now I've got a 5K later on, and we're seeing that the parents and the family members of these kids are running the 5K a week later. It's very, very cool. we went to Waterbury. Waterbury called us. We normally do school by school. But the city, the town, the city of Waterbury called us, and Mayor O'Leary put us in front, Bill Burgess, who will come up in a minute, put us in front of the mayor's council. And within about 3-5 minutes, the mayor said, well, I get it. And all the council members, because they all get it too, they put the funding in. They brought in the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club, the Police Athletic League, and suddenly we had a whole city doing it. And because of that experience, they put it into the Conference of Mayors and won an award. They gave them $125,000 to further their program. So we started off with 400 kids, and in a year they're going to have 3,000 kids go through the program. So it connects the community. And this is it. Sharing the joy, lighting the fire. And I loved the word yesterday, vigor. These kids have got it. These kids, because they all come out, they all share, they have fun, they do the thing, and there's not a first, second, and third. It's not about winning. Finishing is winning. And what I want to do is bring my great mate, the other half of all this, because he'll tell you how. I mean, we met in Litchfield, where I was doing this at a school, and he was over the other side finishing my sentences. But what he did do, and he'll talk about the three-legged stool, I had the activity, he had the healthy eating and the nutrition education, and suddenly we had something to sit on. Bill, come on up, mate. I'm going to pass the baton. That.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Cool.
Well, we feel like we're among friends. It's been terrific being here. And Rodney came to Litchfield, which really is not a place that you would seek out by itself. It's a pretty cool town. You know, it's the nation's first law school. 500 to 1,000 members of Congress graduated from the Litchfield Law School. That's the American Congress. Try that on for size. You will check it out. But about 35 years ago, there's a Litchfield Hills Road Race was started by Joni Benoit and Bill Rogers. And there you go. And so Rodney finally got his schedule cleared and came for a visit. And he thought he would run a clinic. So he's in the athletic director's office. And ultimately, I think I'm pushing the green here. And from Los Angeles to Connecticut, we made Rodney feel at home. In fact, we call him Sir Rodney. You know, that's a wish of his. It's a dream. But there's the family welcome. We love Rodney. He stays with us 3 or 4 times a year. Let's see, we have a couple of millennials there, a boomer, and a kind of quiet, silent generation guy with a hat on, but we're all into it. And we found a way to do something. Rodney had brought a great idea, an idea that would work with schools, something that where kids could be co-creators of their learning experience. So as a guy who started at the same time Rodney did in a different career path, mine was this looking stuff. In business management, you could call me Big Food. But then in management consulting for all of my cohorts in the food and consumer products business. And 40 years later, he did his thing, I did my thing, and here we come together figuratively under the banner in 2007. And I jumped it and said, let's go. And all of a sudden, we realized we had something that was worth doing. But I don't think Rodney really knew what he had gotten himself into. Because Rodney had spent 40 years chasing destinations. This race, that race, the other race. And all of a sudden we had to talk to Rod about journeys. There is no destination. What we're going to do is create legacy outcomes. Something that will inspire the next generation. It's not for us. We are the healthy mentors for the next generation. And so I'm going to introduce you to my hero who I met here. And here he is. I call him Sir Preston. And I'd like Sir Preston to come up for a minute. Come on up with him. I want you to come up, Mom, too. Hi, Pressy! Give me 5, boy. Now, this is it. And I'm just going to read you one quote here that's going to do the number for you. And it's not going to be an exam, because I'm going to give you the answer, because you would never guess. But it's all about press, or some people call him P. And 3 sentences. Listen carefully. If we are to prevent physical degeneracy, or rather if we are to stop that which is going on, we must begin with the children in the public schools. These little folks, hi press, who are the raw material of our future citizenship, are naturally outdoor animals. Their mental activity is founded on physical activity. Every society should do systematic educational work with the public in the interest of human conservation. So, guess what, folks? We're all here as friends of the cause. Everyone out there is a friend of the cause, but our role is to be a healthy mentor for Preston. This is the generation who is going to lead us to the next healthy generation. It's empowered kids. We are the mentors for that. There is no destination. Preston is going to take us where we want to go, and it's going to be heroic, and this man gets a baton. Preston, you get that, and you give me 5? Yay! Oh, give me. Okay? Oh, you take it. You have it. Okay?
Thank you.
So I hope we make the point. This is the journey that Rod has allowed himself to be taken on. It is a journey which, from a business perspective, it requires that you target, like positioning a brand, and it requires outcomes. If you're not going to generate an outcome, you're not going to get the investment, the social investment, to continue it. And if you don't continue it, was it really worth doing? Oh, sorry. So let's just quickly go back to the beginning. I'm going to give you a fast track of how we connected this to create a solution, because this is about a solution that makes a difference. At the same time that Rodney came to Litchfield, I had moved from another part of Connecticut, and by keeping my ear to the ground, he's still my hero. By keeping my ear to the ground, I tripped on a new grant program in the state of Connecticut that was encouraging local agriculture and local food. Never had written a grant before. Nobody said we could do it, but you don't tell me that. Remember, I'm little Mr. Big. Give me a goal, and I'll get it done. About 2 months later, after meetings in my house with a bunch of people, some of whom were falling asleep, but we got it done. We ended up with $75,000 to get a Litchfield Hills Farm Fresh Market done, and that was the beginning of the journey. That was healthy food, and where was it? On the school grounds. Only the beginning of a journey. And so, what do you do with that? Well, it's a commercial venture. If you really want to get going, get a public charity begun. So we, at the same time, we're in search of how could we frame this in a way as an educational public charity that would sow the seeds of change to activate a culture change where? In school communities, as a beginning of the total community. And so the magic, with 3 superintendents of school on our board, plus the head of the Athletic Directors Association for the state of Connecticut, bankers, CEOs, we run it as a business. We came up with the mission of connecting sustainable agriculture, local food, and active, healthy lifestyles. Put your arms out. You can do a lot with that. And so we're here to make a difference. You need a vision that will carry that. So here comes Rodney, and just to backdrop it, I'm carrying around a book called Happy Feet, Healthy Food, written by a special ed teacher in Tolland, Connecticut. And here in the beginning is a little quote from Amby Burford, 2004. Now remember, the other quote I wrote, I'm going to tell you, was 1919. That was the president's address at the Neurological Association in Atlantic City. Dr. McBride said those words in 1919. What happened? Amby Burford, 2004. So everybody kind of gets it. So where's the action? It's not like it's tough. They're talking about young kids. Why? Because you're going to try to frame positive behavior habits. And then we found a magic. We aligned. We found that having done the program 1 year, and we finished the race with 57 kids inside the actual race of the Litchfield Hills Road Race, got in the papers, and guess who called? The Connecticut Association of Schools. We'd like you to come and talk about that. Well, I walked in with Rod, and I gave him a card, Litchfield Hills Food Systems, and they immediately ignored me. And there was Rod, the hero, the product. They wanted to talk to him. They wanted to own him. Okay, so there we go. We were able to align agendas, and they became the trusted brand and credibility to offer this to schools. And they started it. They did it in the classic school way, by experimenting, by getting everybody to agree. And the net of it is, today we have 5 stadiums with 1,000 kids per stadium doing their final mile, with 3,000 to 4,000 parents, extended family members, and public in the audience, with 5,000 kids. At the same time, Connecticut Association of Schools aligned with the Los Angeles Unified School District. We want to do this together. We don't want to create separate programs. We want a beta test to prove in different places that this works. And that's been going on since 2008. So we started out 2,000 or 3,000 in 2008. We're now up to about 40,000 in New Zealand, Connecticut, Los Angeles, and actually 300 in Germany. So we're finding people coming to us. It always helps to have Connecticut reform legislation that mandates physical activity during the school day, and it's now baked into the wellness policy. You can't do this without policy. So let's just reiterate. The critical window, this is from the Design to Move, $30 million of research, sponsored by Nike, with everybody else, CDC involved. They say very clearly, the critical window of opportunity is early childhood. Early childhood. We actually consider that age 2 to 11. That's the action. What they say in this research is, guys, this is it. We're telling you that this is where all of the research, longitudinal studies take you. So get on board and align with this research if you are relating to the facts. And I'm a facts plus experience guy. That's kind of what comes with age, right? Now, so sustainable, healthy school communities. You have to have, and that's why I say we're with friends, you all get it. You have to have experiences that fit in. Isn't it interesting? It takes about 3 words before somebody in the school will say, I finally got it. Fit in. What does that mean? Target your population segment. We will not go out of elementary school. Must have customization. Allow people to do it their way. Have an agile framework. No additional cost or time. We know that that's the rule. Unfunded mandates, make it fit in. Parent and teacher engagement and measurable outcomes. That's the magic. But what's the metaphor? How can we say it simply in an elevator? It's the 3-legged stool. You make a difference not by physical activity alone, not by healthy eating, or just nutrition education. It's the 3. That's how you get something started, is to cross-cut these initiatives. And guess what? A pogo stick with one thing is kind of hard to balance. A ladder, I'm not so sure you want that one, but a 3-legged stool with a base where you can cross-cut these initiatives, what you have is something going that works. This is what you want to do, programmatically put this in a way that fits with the schools. Now, the teachable moment. It's what you do. The program must be non-competitive. It must be new and available to all, a novel idea. Some of you would say disruptive. It needs to fulfill a fantasy or dream. No one will judge you, and it's easy to do, but it's an adventure. That's $350,000 worth of research funded by Congress in 2006 that was defining for adolescents, when you want to get everybody involved, that's the criteria. It's amazing how much research is out there that you don't have to spend. It's all out there. Just go find it and link it and associate. But here's the magic, the 3 rings. This comes right out of my corporate experience in consulting. The key is the red ring. Inspire kids to do something that's beyond the realm of what they would feel comfortable normally doing. Get them to that achieve point using the tortoise and the hare story. But when they achieve, give them the adulation. Make them feel the reward of what that achievement was. Because if you do that, you are empowering them with a sense of self-reliance. So where's all the power? It's in the center of the circle. It's where the inspiration matched the achievement, fitting into schools, and the empowerment. That is where my man, Preston, is going to take people to become a sustainable change agent. So focus, target, and fit in. School community engagement is absolutely critical. You have opportunities for kids to be co-creators of their program. Again, educate the whole child. Developing healthy habits is a complex challenge, but it's not so complex if you do it early. When you're trying to change somebody's habit, it's like repositioning a brand. It takes 5 times as long, 10 times as much money. Teachers, it's not something else you have to do. It's just making your job easier because it's a creative outlet for what you're already doing with your curriculum priorities. And for everybody, don't tell me how it came to be. Tell me what it does for me. Help me understand why this is good for me. Well, here's why. From New York City obesity studies with FitnessGram, what you don't see on this chart is the people who are not fit. But you see there's different ethnic groups covered across there. For people who are in the middle of fitness, look at the academic achievement versus the base. This is actual quantified data. And then look at the real fit kids and their academic achievement. That's an outcome that will spur social investment, not expense. Those are actual hard data that's not imagined. Nobody will refute academic achievement comes from physical activity. So here, closing it in, education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. You have to come with the passion. You have to have something that's consistent, sustainable for all, not something that creates bullies and alienation. So here is the adoption of what Rod discovered in 1983. Every kid does it, and they love it. And guess what? Last week, the President's Council came out and said, oh, we agree. Isn't that interesting? After all this money and all these years. And sharing the joy is what it's all about. You get it. Start small, be disruptive, and create something big, which is a big idea for the greater good. So it's all for you. You can take the baton, but I'm giving mine to Preston.